Lufthansa is the flag carrier of Germany, and being a flag carrier has many connotations, including being the country's pride. So, when an airline fails to do this any longer, questions are of course asked. And for Lufthansa, well, they're in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons of late. Welcome back to GlobeTrotting. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and you'd like to see more content examining the struggles of airlines within our industry. Lufthansa, they're a carrier that maybe hasn't had as much sustained media coverage, but one that has undoubtedly been copping it left, right and centre in recent months. Once being an airline that was universally loved and admired. Now it's an airline that is universally frowned upon, a shocking change that isn't what the carrier and the wider Lufthansa group were aiming for, as you could imagine. But let's explore that very downfall today. Beginning with the chaos that we witnessed across the most recent summer. Flight cancellations were occurring left, right and centre. Pilots' unions enforcing strikes and a whole lot more. We also saw staff shortages and the ongoing war in Ukraine being put to blame for such cancellations, as best described by the company themselves. In addition to this, they noted that they did not expect things to improve largely for a considerable period, saying that summer 2023 was their best expectation. But it isn't just here, in the cancellation department, where Lufthansa has experienced chaos. Poor feedback from travellers and a wide range of other areas. Even the service inside the cabin is a place they've dropped the ball to, according to loyal flyers, something we'll be getting into a little bit later on in this analysis. But secondly, as per an exclusive by Business Insider, they had the opportunity to speak with an employee of the airline, specifically working as a cabin crew member. The tell-all interview highlighted how Lufthansa's situation was far worse than what it was being painted to be, and actually, it was all solely inflicted. Decisions across the pandemic have come back to bite them heavily, including the decision to cut staff and cutbacks on the training of crew. The crew are naturally crucial to the day-to-day operations at an airline. Without them, your plane does not get in the sky. And for Lufthansa, they have a refresher course. That's how it best can be described. It takes place every year, but that has been suspended as of July 2022, and licenses therefore during the summer for the crew were also suspended. And on top of that, the crew that was still flying really had an element of unknown in their position. They were unclear on just what was next and how they'd be assigned moving forward. It's an operation that is in dire need of assistance, but impacting the employees does have a knock-on effect to their customers. With crew unable to board flights, the crew say being assigned too many shifts, and also being overworked, cancellations therefore brew, and we saw delays to flight departures and much more. While these can impact the 300 passengers on, say, a specific flight, the reality is there's also a knock-on effect that is felt industry-wide, and especially on the global network that Lufthansa operates. Inside the cabin, many loyal Lufthansa flyers have called the airline's downfall more rapid than British Airways has won, moving their business away nowadays from the German flag carrier after years of rapid decline. According to these loyal flyers, management is ruining the carrier, and it wouldn't be the first airline to be experiencing a similar fate. Over in Australia, Qantas is seeing similar, with their management making critical decisions over recent years that have wholly backfired and led to the airline spiralling out of control and continuing on a downward trajectory. One that has seen passengers move elsewhere. We've seen consistent horror stories coming out, and it's safe to say that the Qantas PR team are working in overdrive to try and rectify consistent mistakes made by executives. Decisions like making customers pay for snacks and drinks on long-haul flights with Lufthansa, the addition of paying for seat selection on more flights, and of course, all in the attempt to bring in additional revenue for the airline, have all been incredibly poorly received by loyal travellers, and the two things I just mentioned are really only a small amount of changes that Lufthansa have made in the past couple of years. And with the price still high to fly with the airline, adopting a rather bleak service template has not necessarily gone down well. Most on Lufthansa's short-haul network have described it as a low-cost carrier at best, but without the low cost. Therefore, they're in a bit of a pickle. Passengers nowadays don't want to pay for an expensive flight with no frills when there are cheaper options and things that are better value for money. Chaos also at the airport was witnessed from sick staff and poor management decisions that have resulted in this happening. Horror shows like wrong gate information, delays without explanation, lost baggage, and what has only been described as also an abysmal upper-class experience have all been quoted across forums both in the aviation and travel sectors. Lufthansa continue to slip further and further. And of course, while airline awards don't necessarily say a lot about an airline, for them to nowadays not be featuring at all and the general public reception to them to be consistently negative, it certainly speaks volumes of how far the carrier has fallen in the past couple of years, when taking a look back 5 years ago, this was not the state of Lufthansa. The writing is on the wall, and Lufthansa is rapidly becoming an airline people don't want to fly with. From decisions at upper management to also just decisions made during the pandemic by these said executives. The airline has lost its touch, and for many Germans and also just local flyers, it's a very disappointing sight. From being a premium airline to removing all the frills associated with a said premium airline and trying to chase profits through adopting a low-cost long-haul operation that has many worried and upset. At the end of the day, there is a massive difference between trying to cut costs and becoming a low-cost long-haul operation. Of course, for Lufthansa, it's had many negative impacts. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Of course, this video is heavily backed by the people who have naturally been expressing very vocally their distaste with Lufthansa, so if you've recently had any experiences with them, please drop them below in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear your take. Thanks for watching. We do very much appreciate the support here on GlobeTrotting, and we will see you next time.